Boy,
no.
get on it. Jump on it real quick, but ride that horse home, but not
At
not
that price.
130. Hey guys, welcome. I am Charles and this is
John.
And we are here with Bigfoot Bourbon Company Reviews. We're today going to explore 1924 from Old Forester, the newest Whiskey Row member. Now, if you're not familiar with Whiskey Row series, this is going to include 4 other bottles that includes 1870, 1897, 1910, and 1920. Now, personally, of the ones I've tried, I believe we've had 1910 and 1920.
Yes.
I have not gone to the lower proof 1870 and
No.
1897. 1910's good. It's a double barrel essentially, so it's like a toasted. And then the 1920 is the higher proof. I prefer the 1920.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely.
pretty tasty. But today we're going to explore the newest offering, 1924, which is a bottle put out by Old Forester, a Brown-Forman label. And this is to commemorate Owsley Brown, one of the original founders of Brown-Forman, his taking of barrels from closed distillers during Prohibition. So they were in 1920, Prohibition was enacted, 1924. Old Forester's still going. They were one of the few distilleries that had a license to continue distilling and maturing and selling their whiskey.
How much did they pay for that?
Oh, that's a very good question. But in 1924, he took some barrels from other distillers and barreled them and made some whiskey under the Old Forester name. And that is what this is commemorating. It's 100 years since 1924. We paid $130 for this.
Bargain.
It's pretty hard to come by, at least from where we're at. It's
Yeah.
been in a lot of lotteries and raffles and allocated selections. We got lucky enough to run across this at a local liquor store. On the shelf. Right, on the shelf for $129. I think their retail's $115. Everything I've read online says that it's a little, like, I don't know. There's conflicting reviews on this. This is a kind of a contentious bottle.
I'm excited about this
Yeah.
one. I've read a little bit about this one. I'm kind of excited.
Look, I'm going to tell you right now, just looking at that color,
Oof.
it's beautiful. Now, one thing I will say, Old Forester does a really cool thing. Their warehouses aren't open. They're not just free flowing air like a lot of the rick houses you have in Bardstown and Frankfurt. They heat cycle their warehouses, so it's going to have consistent aging
that's cool.
all year, and that helps age it a little bit differently than a naturally open rick house would age. So 10 years. This is almost birthday bourbon age, right? So
yeah.
I mean, I think this year's birthday bourbon was 12 years, so we're close to that. But it's gonna probably seem a little bit more mature because the heat cycling. So it's basically simulating summer all year long. So you get a more consistent cycling of the whiskey in and out of the barrel, and it's pulling out those barrel flavors.
You can have 2 summers. You can do summer, winter, summer,
Right.
winter.
You just keep it going, and it's a really interesting process, and I believe I enjoy Old Forester whiskey. It's pretty tasty.
Oh, yeah. We were at the Bourbon Festival.
Yeah.
And they had 1910, 1920.
Yes, and then I did have 1897 there. That was long into the day.
4 there.
That was deep into the day. So I didn't take a lot of notes.
It was great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. All right, so let's pop this baby open and see what it is, and see what we got to work with here. See if it's worth chasing. See if it's worth hunting. I mean, and the contention I've seen online has primarily kind of focused on the fact that it's a little bit more expensive than everything else in their Whiskey Row line.
Yeah.
So like the 1920 runs anywhere between about anywhere between what, 60, 70 bucks,
60
depending
bucks.
on where you're going. And then 1910's a little less than that. Ooh, I'm making a mess, friends. Don't waste the juice.
You get to see it live.
Okay, so let's explore and see if this is worth over $100. Because they say, hey, you can get Eagle Rare, 50, 60 bucks, 40 bucks, and I saw it today on the shelf, $41. Seen it for $39.99. It's 10 years too. So is a 10-year-old Forester worth 3 times as much potentially?
I like the nose.
That's bourbon.
Yeah, that's bourbon. It's kind of a cherry bourbon.
Yeah, I definitely get a little bit of cherry on that.
Some dark chocolate.
Yeah, absolutely.
It
smells delicious.
That does smell good.
Some beautiful
That's
legs
making my
on
mouth
it
water.
too. Beautiful legs. I get a little tobacco, so that's that age on it. Just a tiny bit, maybe a little bit of oak, a little bit. It's not overwhelming, but it's not sweet. It's rich.
This smells like a dark chocolate maraschino cherry mix to me.
I get that.
And
Absolutely.
some oaky notes. That's just. Can we
Look,
taste it now?
You did an excellent job
Can we
of describing this. All right, let's do it, boys. All right, cheers, friend.
Cheers. Oh my. Oh, that is nice.
That's rich. That's quite nice.
I'm gonna have to cut that out.
That's rich. That's deep. There's some depth to that. Definitely get a little bit of chocolate, like definite chocolate on the back end of my tongue. And it's not like it's like a milk chocolate. It's more of a dark chocolate, like you were describing.
Yeah, it's got a bite to it.
Yeah, it's good though. Like you want a higher chocolate percentage, I guess, that cocoa percentage on a dark chocolate. The higher the better. Generally, it's a little bit better for you, but that's what this is kind of pulling up.
Some spice, some cinnamon notes.
Mm-hmm.
The spice.
I get a little bit of
You get like a wheat note.
a wheat. Yeah, there's some kind of grainy note in there.
Yeah.
But it's not young grain. It's very much a refined grain flavor profile. I don't know. I mean,
It's like a bourbon grain.
yeah. And I'm going to tell you right now, my tongue just coated. It is just like somebody laid down asphalt on my tongue, full of bourbon. It's delicious. Oh,
I get a very different experience after that first.
yeah, yeah. The first one is very, but then it's overwhelming almost, and that there's so much.
There's a lot going on there.
But then after a couple, that asphalt on my tongue, it's letting everything kind of play out, and it's really nice to get to explore those different flavors.
That's so interesting.
Okay, I can see it. One of the tasting notes that the Old Forester website provides is graham crackers, like chocolate-covered graham crackers. I get that.
After the second tasting.
It's just that's that bitter, almost chocolatey to where that's the graham, and that might be the grain.
That might be the grainy
that might be
that
the
we're
grain.
tasting.
Absolutely. It's like I just ate a chocolate, almost like a s'more without the marshmallow. It depends on what kind of chocolate you're using, of course, but pretty tasty. Okay, the finish. What are you thinking? I mean, the finish is more. I mean, graham cracker.
But then after that, you're right. You just had this coating on your tongue, and it was delicious, and it was like smoother and different tasting, and you got these grain notes, the graham cracker notes, the chocolatey notes, I don't know. This is interesting.
I will say, the way that it coats your tongue is not consistent with the viscosity of the bourbon itself. It doesn't seem super thick. It doesn't seem syrupy almost.
Look at those legs.
I mean, the legs are there, but when it goes through your mouth, sometimes it's like heavier.
Yeah. This one doesn't feel like that.
But it coats your tongue as if it does have that.
It does coat your
heaviness.
tongue like
it's wild.
Like a syrup.
Yeah, it's delicious though.
It's good.
All right.
Where are we at? We're gonna rank these.
Nose. Fantastic.
Yep, perfect.
I would put it at like a 6 or a 7. I mean, I don't know. There's
rare air. Okay.
6 or 7.
All right.
Because the depth is not like there's depth.
I know there's some notes that are missing.
It's not as you put your nose to it and it's just like you travel to a rick house. You're in another location. That's not what this is. This is good.
That's true. All right, I'm with you. It's a
6
7.
or 7.
No,
okay.
you sold me
7.
that it's squarely
Taste unique. This is different from
Totally.
all Old Forester that I've had.
This is not
significantly
like
different from the single barrel picks.
I
enjoy single barrel. They're a little hot sometimes, but I think they're absolutely delicious.
Those are the best ones.
So our taste.
I'm Still gonna be.
I mean,
right
I would
around.
say 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And then finish. I'm not as much of a fan of the finish as I am the other two components. I would say that's firmly a 5.5 to 6. For me.
Yeah.
It's-
I like the finish. I like the second finish,
Yeah.
but it's
I like how long it's in my mouth.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what she
Yeah,
said.
that's going on.
All right, so that is what she said. I like it though, and it's delicious, but I don't know that's notable. You know,
Right.
it's there, but it's not something that is overwhelming, and that's what I'm gonna have to say. I would say the finish is a 5. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would probably call it a 5. It's not the realm of the gods. I don't know. I might shade towards a 6 just
Yeah.
because of that coating, but
Okay. This is very different from Eagle Rare, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so that's
Oh,
another,
yeah.
or Russell's Reserve 10-year. You could look at both of those, or like one of the Knob Creek picks. They're
As a
going to be a
contemporary
little
of
higher
these.
proof though. Like, so the Eagle Rare will be similar, but that Knob Creek single barrels are going to be a lot higher proof. But they're about the same age. You know, the 9 to 10 years. I don't know. Let's look at value. This is I paid 130. 115's I think MSRP.
I wouldn't want to pay much more than we did.
Right. I think at what they've priced it for, I think that's
That's a fair.
okay. It's fair.
I think if you win this in a lottery, you're going to be hurt.
Yeah. Well, if you take it too early, if you are in a lottery and they've got BTEC, they've got Pappy, they've got Parker's Heritage, they've got
Get the Parker's Heritage.
oh, that's delicious stuff. But all the different fancy bourbons that there are, all the rye, the Michter's 10-year, the toasted barrel, all that stuff, I wouldn't put this above that. Not the ones that I've tasted, at least. So I mean, I think if you're picking and there's enough bottles to kind of filter you down, if you're like 75 or 80, and this is one of the options, absolutely.
We need to do that episode. We need to do our raffle episode, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually were just in a raffle today.
Hey, tell you what. You tell us what the best raffle you've ever been in.
Yes.
You don't have to tell us the store. You just have to tell us how it was set up. Or
yeah, how was
maybe
it set
tell us
up?
the store.
Tell us how it was set up so that we can maybe find some that are similar. You know.
All right. What about value?
So value, at 130, 115. I think it's priced.
3.
I mean,
Appropriately.
I will say if this was a one-off release,
A 5. Is
a
it
one-off
appropriate?
release, I'd give it a 6. But this, from everything I've read, is an annual release. It's still going to be allocated, I believe, but it's going to be annual. They're only going to put out so many. So I would say a 5 or a 4, like 4 to 5, just at that price. If this was closer to Eagle Rare territory, so we're looking at $50-$60, boy, get on it, jump on it real quick, but ride that horse home. But not
At
not
that
130.
price,
130.
130. It's nice to have a bottle
Right.
around. I'm
If-
not going to be searching for it next year.
If you're a completionist, finish that Whiskey Row. All right, guys, have a great night or a great day, whatever it is for you, and we will hopefully see you soon.
See you.
All right, bye, guys.